Hello, friends. I'm Kush Khandelwal, and this is Ageless Athlete. A few years ago, I started asking questions that would not leave me alone. Why do some people keep pushing mentally, physically, spiritually long after others burn out or break down? What does it really mean to age well when you still crave movement, meaning, and mastery? This show is my search for answers. Each week, I talk to elite athletes, everyday adventurers, and pioneering researchers who are stretching the limits of what's possible across age, injury, illness, and self doubt. You will hear hard won lessons, untold stories, and science backed strategies for building a body and mindset that lasts. For those of us joining for the first time, welcome to the show. For the rest, thank you for joining us again. Time is our most valuable asset, and I deeply appreciate you giving me your time today.
It's like, wow, we are in North Korea. It's just the feeling of, holy shit, we are North Korea. That's like the first, wow, right? And the second thing is that when you start to meet the people there, the guides and people from the Ministry of Sports came to greet us, and like you realize it's just normal people, right? It's they are not from Mars, right? They're not aliens. It's just normal people.
Imagine standing on a starting line in a stadium where almost no outsiders are allowed to stand. The air is tightly controlled. The crowd is choreographed. The country itself feels suspended in time. And you are here to run a marathon. Johan Nylander is a journalist who has spent 14 years reporting from Asia, covering trade wars, political crackdowns, and shifting global power. But this story begins somewhere else entirely. North Korea. Yes, that North Korea. After years of sealed borders, he became one of the first foreign visitors allowed back inside. He was not a diplomat, not as a negotiator, but as a runner, lacing up in a place defined by restriction, moving through streets few outsiders have seen in years. Why run there? Because for Johan, running has become more than sport. It is how he measures freedom. It is how he metabolizes stress. It is how he reclaims agency in midlife. He didn't grow up as an endurance athlete. He started seriously in his 50s, after anxiety, burnout, and a lifestyle that was catching up to him. Watching a marathon once, barely able to run a kilometer himself, he made this quiet decision. Next year, that will be me. So this conversation is about contrast between closed borders and open roads, between journalism and physical risk, between aging and expansion. It's about what it means to move, literally in places where movement is rare. And why at 52, the boldest thing you can do is start running towards something instead of away. Friends, so glad you are here with us again today. I just have a small request, a simple way for you to support the show. If you have been listening to Ageless Athlete for a while and the show means something to you, I would deeply appreciate if you could leave a review at Apple Podcasts. I'm trying to get to 100 reviews. It is really simple. You just have to go in the app and then scroll down and you will find a place where you can give the show 5 stars and you can leave a review. It really helps the show grow and find more listeners. Okay, now on with the show. Johan, I always start with this question, which is, where are you right now and what did you have for breakfast today?
Well, I am in Hong Kong, in my apartment, my living room, right next to my messy bookshelf, as you can see. What I have for breakfast? Well, I'm having coffee for breakfast. I'm in a training period for my upcoming marathon, so my breakfast now, it's more healthy, more nutritious than normal. So normally I start with like a protein powder mixed with chia seeds, a lot of vitamin C. So I drink that, and then bananas and fruit. I normally start my day with that. So it's a lot of nutrition, a lot of vitamins, but not too heavy, right? So I can both prepare for the marathon, but also have a fresh mind for my work day.
Sounds nutritious and sounds light. Sounds like a nice start to your morning. let me start with this, Johan. So many people listening may not know who you are. So for people who are just meeting you, how do you describe yourself?
And that's a big question. So I am from Sweden. I live in Hong Kong. I've been living here for 14 years. My day job as an Asia correspondent for a Swedish newspaper, Dagens Industri. I used to write regularly for CNN and Forbes. I've been writing a few books about China and Mongolia and Asia, but the region here. So my day-to-day job is to like cover political and economical situation here. Trade war, right? It's been very hectic few years. And then, like apart from that, over the last few years, I started to do a lot of running. Really started to make some lifestyle changes. Like I think I've had a quite like lousy lifestyle before, with like a lot of bad food, a lot of drinking, a lot of stress, late nights, and like a lot of work stress. And so I'm trying to make a change. So yeah, so both a journalist and trying to become something as a runner.
Johan, you lead something like a double life. You are a journalist, you run, and you are from Sweden. And you've been based in Hong Kong for a while now. How did that combination come together?
I think I've always been very curious about the world and also a bit restless. I find it difficult to stay put in one place. It goes to my writing also. Like I find it a bit tedious to write about the same topic all the time. So I like to explore new topics, new countries, new challenges. Moving to Hong Kong, I mean, we really didn't have a plan. I had been a correspondent in London during the financial crisis, and we were looking to move somewhere in the world. We were looking at the map. We were looking at New York, New Delhi, Tokyo, and we ended up in Hong Kong. And I had never been to Hong Kong before. I didn't know anyone here. You know, grew up watching a lot of Bruce Lee and Jackie Chan movies, and the only thing I knew that was, if we move to Hong Kong, it's going to be exciting, right? It's not going to be boring, and if we don't like it, we can always, continue to somewhere else. We live on a small island called Lam Island. Like I have the water, the South China Sea, just like 15 meters from my window here. I have to take a ferry into Central every day, so it's a small island with wild boars and wild dogs and cobras and a lot of snakes and beaches, good hiking, and then 20 minutes with the ferry to the world's most densely populated city, right? So it's good contrasts, and I think it suits my lifestyle. As you said, I live like two kinds of life. Like one is like a lot of exercise and being out in nature and climbing mountains, and the other one is just a lot of work and hanging out at the Foreign Correspondents Club with other journalists. So yeah, it's a difficult balance sometimes.
Johan, not only do you lead a double life professionally, like a runner and a journalist, you also seem to inhabit two contrasting physical worlds, because the place that you live in is not how I would picture Hong Kong. The wildlife you describe and the quiet and the nature, that against the place you take your boat to go to work. That's what people think about when they imagine Hong Kong. Yeah, the urbanity, the skyscrapers. So you were looking for something a little bit different. Did Hong Kong live up to its promise?
Oh yeah, for sure. Hong Kong is never boring. It's a crazy place. Some people say that New York is high speed, but that is nothing compared to Hong Kong. Hong Kong is like New York on ecstasy. It's high speed all the time. It's almost addictive. It's like every time I walk down the street, it feels like I'm walking down the street for the first time, because things have changed. Things have changed since last time. Like shops opening, shops closing, always some construction happening. Always, it's a city full of life. It's the world's most densely populated city. There are twice as many skyscrapers as in New York. But at the same time, as you said, not many people know about this, but some 80% of Hong Kong is just green. It's mountains, it's hills, it's beaches. Hong Kong is fantastic for hiking. It's fantastic for running. It's for sailing, for kayaking, canoeing. Now, I saw some statistics the other day that Hong Kong people are the one who walks the most in the world. I think New York was maybe number 2. These are good cities for walking. So good public transport and a lot of and good walking. A city it's a cliche, but a city of contrasts. Like you have all the skyscrapers, all the madness, right? All the speed, but at the same time, just like next door, you have all these mountains and hiking and wild animals, monkeys, and it's quite fascinating place. It's really a fascinating place. I don't think I can ever leave.
Beautiful, Johan. You certainly paint an unexpected portrait of this city. I'm just wondering if you might have a second career as a possible tourism ambassador for Hong Kong, because you obviously love that place. Not that Hong Kong needs more people, but it is obvious that you have been able to explore the city's contrasts in a way that most outsiders have not.
At the same time as it's extremely beautiful, I also been standing in clouds of tear gas during the pro-democratic protests, and been chased down by the police, and I've seen like press freedom of speech being eroded here. So again, it's a city that like it tears your emotions apart. It's the most beautiful place you can imagine, and so many things happening. But yeah, maybe we don't need to go into detail about the political situation in Hong Kong. We can leave it for another day.
Okay, all right, fair enough. Yes, as curious as I am, we will certainly save it for another time. You just talked about training for a marathon coming up. Can you tell us what this race is all about?
Well, this marathon is in 2 weeks. It's the Hong Kong Standard Chartered Marathon. It's the big marathon in Hong Kong. I think some 70,000 people running, so it's naturally much smaller than New York or London or Tokyo. I did my first marathon. I'm 53 now, and I did my first marathon a year ago at 52. It is fantastic, right, to be in this age, and so many people around me tells me like, don't do it, be careful. And some other people around me just tell me, yeah, do it, come on. So running these marathons for me, it's very much like a celebration of life. It's not easy. It's far from easy. It's physically difficult. It's mentally painful, and maybe because of all these challenges and all this pain, it's why I enjoy it so much. It teaches you that like you need to fight for the good things in life. So yeah, so I'm training for this marathon now, and I'm really looking forward to it.
Johan, to clarify, you said you ran your first marathon a year ago. I believe you have been running for much longer. Friends, it means a lot that you're here. I pour a ton of heart into the show. The research, the interviews, the editing. It's all me, trying to share stories that matter. If Ageless Athlete has ever made you feel seen, inspired you, or just kept you company on a long drive, or better, over a run or a bike ride, I would be so grateful if you considered supporting it. Even a small amount helps keep it going, helps keep bringing the show to you for free. You can chip in at buymeacoffee.com/agelessathlete. Again, buymeacoffee.com/agelessathlete. You can find the link on the show notes as well. Thank you for listening and for being part of this.
No, I mean, not really. I mean, I'm kind of new to running. I've been running on and off. I did a half marathon some years ago. I've done some boxing, some Muay Thai, some Wing Chun and so on, but just a little bit. And I've been going to the gym on and off. I mean, like most people, you feel I should hit the gym, and you get a gym card and you don't really go much. But life has changed for me a lot. Like I had a very challenging experience 2 years ago. Like I spent a lot of time in the hospital.
I would love to get into that, but I want to just ask a precursor question, which is...
Sure.
You are in your 50s and you have dabbled in a couple of different sports. So what is it about running that was attractive? Why did you decide to pick up this sport?
It was almost a lifesaver for me mentally. I was really in a quite low mental space. I felt quite anxious, like a bit paranoid, always thinking like someone was standing behind me. Also, I didn't feel physically very strong, and I felt age catching up. I was going, and I had been running a little bit before, but not much. One day when I was like physically and mentally in a like really challenging place, and I got off the ferry to go to town, and the Hong Kong Marathon was happening. And I just saw all this energy, all the people clapping, people running, and it's so much positive energy and so much like good feelings. And I was standing there like feeling fucking lousy about life. And I thought, wow, I'm going to sign up next year. Then I was 51. And next year I'm going to do it. And at the time, I could hardly walk. Like I couldn't run one kilometer. I was in really bad shape. But it was just, the marathon called my name. It's like, come on, like we're waiting for you. And so when I could sign up, I signed up. And when I signed up, I could run maybe 20 kilometers. And I sort of had like 5 months to, go from 20 to 42. But no, it was really a defining moment for me. Like running, I wouldn't say it saved my life, but it brought life back to me in a way. It was very important to me. And it came, yeah. I don't know if it makes any sense.
It does. I have felt the transformative power of sport in my life. Like it's just this powerful way for me to interact with, not just with nature, but with my own self. So I think I can relate, but your journey is powerful. Yes, you talked about how it has been this force in getting you past your health concerns. So where are you with your health now? And how has the journey with running helped contribute?
Actually, physically, I don't think I've ever been stronger, which is bloody fantastic being 53 and I feel like physically like really good. Maybe when I was 19, I had to do military service when I was 19, like in Sweden. At that time, I was quite strong. But no, I'm like physically, I feel really good. Like I go to gym, I do some boxing, I do a lot of long distance running. So it helped me tremendously. Like back pain is gone, knee pain is gone. Like I always had some pain in, the wrists here, like an age thing, right? Much, much better. Like neck, like I sleep better. Like physically, never felt better. It's such a good feeling. Like I can't describe, because I mean, a lot of my friends, probably a lot of your friends and friends of the listeners on this podcast, I mean, I have a lot of friends who like, they sit in the bar every night, drinking beer, complaining about back pain, complaining about this, complaining about that, but never willing to do anything about it. And I think when you reach a certain point, it's really important that you start lifting weights, do running, or do something for your physique. I mean, if you don't, I mean, our muscle, they get smaller every year, our back get weaker. So I think if you do running, do training, you have the power to become stronger, to feel better. And if you don't, I mean, you will slide, like physically and mentally. And also, when you feel physically better, when you go to the gym, when you go running, you get all these endorphins and serotonins and hormones. So naturally, your mind gets stronger. You feel happier. You feel, happy with yourself, happy with the world. So this it's been a very positive journey. Like I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful to myself that I've done this, right? And I am doing it. It's really changed my life.
So brilliant, Johan. Running and outdoor sports can be so powerful. And I'm also guessing that this didn't happen in a vacuum. Like you put your running shoes on and you went for a run. But it sounds like the impact went beyond the trail, because you talked about how running has enhanced or changed different parts of your life. So can you talk a little bit about some changes you made? So one thing that you talked about is how you have this diet plan that you have put in place, the food you're eating. Can you talk about how you have changed other parts of your life, or those changes have happened to complement this new sport?
I can still have periods of really bad lifestyle choices. Like I can have periods of like too much drinking, of too much, kebab and pizza and hamburgers, and And when I have those periods, I feel really bad. Like the bad effects, how like you see it under your eyes, and you feel it in your back and your wrist. The wrist, like, the bad feelings come back quickly. And the good thing with this is, I think in our age, if you make some positive lifestyle changes, the positive aspects, they come quite quickly. If you cut down drinking and you cut down like sugar, and you think a bit of your diet, the positive effects, they come quickly. And I'm becoming very sensitive to what I eat. So I'm trying to like think of my diet. I have quite light breakfast, as I said, a lot of fruit for breakfast, quite light, and I drink a lot of coffee, quite light lunch, and then I have more for dinner when I'm in the sofa watching Netflix. I'm not an absolutist, but I really feel when I make the right choices that the positive effects become quickly, and it's very encouraging. Yeah, I mean, it's not rocket science. That like stop go to like the fast food chain, stop having crisps or wine gums or gummy bears, like things that I'm quite addicted to. Stop having soda with sugar, and fruit and meat and vegetables and like spaghetti and rice. Just things. A friend of mine said we should eat things that your grandmother would recognize as food. If my grandmother saw a lot of the things that we are eating today, she would go like, "What is this? Why do you put this in your body?" So I think, yes, you don't need to follow an like strict diet sometimes. Just use common sense. Don't gulp down sugar water. Don't eat deep fried things with a lot of salt and sugar on it. It's just use some common sense. And yeah, I feel a huge difference.
Did you bring those changes, or did you learn about healthy eating yourself? Did you look into some resources? Did you find a coach to help you with either your food or actually even your running?
Yeah, well, not really a coach, but I do a lot of reading. I'm interested in these things. I follow some people on social media who I respect and can learn from. I mean, you including, actually, Kush. I mean, that's how we got to know each other. The advice I get from the people that you interview, trying to better yourself, a lot about health advice and good habits and diet. And there's a lot of different opinions out there. So you need to be a bit careful. There's a lot of people who say you have to do this and you should not do that. And sometimes people are a bit too assertive, but that they are right. So I think you need to listen to a lot of voices and be a bit skeptical to who you listen to, who you trust. Some people say you should only eat meat. Some people say you should only eat vegetables. And I eat meat and vegetables, but try to have a good balance. And living in Hong Kong, I mean, the kitchen here is quite good. It's based on steamed vegetables and rice, and you don't eat too much. So But yeah, I think on social media, there's tons of good advice on YouTube and Instagram and everywhere. Tons of good advice, but it's very important to take it with a pinch of salt, in double meaning, and listen to more voices than just the few.
One more question I had just about Hong Kong is, do you train mostly in the island that you live in, or do you also run in the streets of the city?
Yeah, it's a good question. So when I run here on the island where I live, it's very hilly. Like it's like green hills, so it's hard on the legs. It's up and down and up and down. And in the summer, I'm quite afraid because there are so many snakes. There is a lot of cobras and like green pit vipers and boa and python. So I'm terrified. Like when I was last summer, I was out running and like a meter away from me, like a cobra was standing, with the shield up.
Whoa!
And I acted like a true alpha male. I screamed and I jumped. But to run on the island is very good to build muscle because it's very up and down, it's steep hills. But when I do more long distance, like 10, 20, 30 kilometers, I go to town, and you can run by the waterfront, by Victoria Harbour. They have opened up almost all the waterfront along Hong Kong Island. So it's beautiful. You run right next to the skyscrapers, and you have the Victoria Harbour one side, and like this like jungle of skyscrapers glittering next to you, and it's really cool. It's really fantastic. And sometimes you need to run on the small streets, like in Wan Chai, in North Point, and next to massage places and noodle bars and traffic lights and of family. So the air quality is not the best, but it's okay as long as you run by the water. The air quality is not too bad. Yeah. So you can here in Hong Kong, you can run on the trails. There's a lot of trail running. You can run in the mountains up and down. There's a lot of good trail running. Yeah, I can just mention it. There's a documentary called Four Trails. Four Trail is maybe the best documentary I've watched in my life. It's about this competition, 300-kilometer competition. It's four trails they're running, and it's like up and down all these mountains and trails in Hong Kong. So you can either hit the mountains or you can hit the streets in Hong Kong. So it's really cool place for running.
You're blowing my mind. Yes, I am an outdoors person at heart, but I also love cities. I grew up in a big city, and just that image of running by the harbor surrounded by skyscrapers, that just sounds so seductive. Did you also find a community of runners? And I'm also curious if running opened maybe a new door into your new home in this country far away from where you grew up.
It's a very good question. Yes, running has opened. Oh, yes. Oh, that's a very good question. Thank you so much. It opened so many new doors for me to new parts of Hong Kong, like physically in Hong Kong. Yes, absolutely. I spend more time in the hills. I spend more time, like a Friday evening, instead of sitting in the bar, I spend running by the waterfront next to the skyscrapers, 2-3 hours. It really opens up new doors. It opened up doors in me. I getting to know myself better. It gave me a lot of new friends. People see me as, not just a drunk journalist, but as a runner. Like people view me differently. Yeah, I mean, it's a compliment that people see me in a new light, and I mean, I'm quite humbled about that, right? I'm sure if some of my old friends from Sweden, if they listen to this podcast, they're just going to laugh their pants off, right? But no, it really opened up a lot of new doors for me. Like I made a lot of new friends, both here on the island and in town. New friendships, absolutely for sure, and new parts of Hong Kong. Yes, I think that is a very good question. It's a very important thing with running, and with if you join, say, a boxing club or rock climbing or mountain climbing as you're doing. I think it changes you on many levels, right? It opens a lot of doors.
Johan, you are an acclaimed journalist, and you are somewhat of an expert in Asia. And does running help you as a journalist?
Hello, friends. Just a quick break. This is not an ad. If you have been enjoying these conversations, I would love for you to subscribe to my newsletter. It is where I go deeper, sharing stories, reflections, and behind the scenes insights that don't always make it into the podcast. I write about what I'm learning from elite athletes and how to stay ageless in body and mind. If you have ever wanted a thoughtful, inspiring read that ties it all together, training, aging, mindset, and awe, you will love this. You can find the link in the show notes or just head to agelessathlete.co. Again, www.agelessathlete.co, that is, to sign up. And yeah, just a couple of emails a month, and you can unsubscribe anytime. Absolutely no spam ever. Okay, back to the show.
Yes, it clears my mind. I've always, my way of writing has always been, maybe not my day-to-day news writing, but if I write my books or a more complicated feature story, I always go for long walks, and I write when I'm walking. Like so, I write with my feet and I type with my fingers. And to do long distance running, it clears your mind. It cleans out all the voices in your mind, make things more clear. I mean, my job is very, very stressful. It's super stressful. I have deadlines every day. I mean, writing about Venezuela during the weekend and today it's very stressful. And to deal with the stress, I mean, the different ways of dealing with stress, you have negative ways of dealing with stress and you have positive ways of dealing with stress. And going for long walks and going running, doing physical, like challenging physical exercise, it really helps you to deal with day-to-day stress. Because this kind of stress, I mean, we can all feel it. I mean, we all feel it in our life. It can really bring you down. It affects your belief in yourself, how cool you can be, your self-confidence. So to go for long runs, it's when I come back again, I feel like I can breathe and my writing goes easier again. Yeah, so it really helps me a lot from that perspective.
Absolutely, yes. I can see how it brings focus, clarity of mind. But I want to go a little bit beyond that. And I'm just curious if running helps you understand a place differently, if it gives you access to people, to stories, maybe moments, because you've gone running in all kinds of places. So has it allowed you to understand a place differently than you would otherwise?
Yeah, for sure. Running marathons, running marathons can also help you to understand different societies, right? Because I mean, if you go traveling to different countries or a marathon, it's a really cool way to discover a new society and a new country. I mean, you can travel as a tourist. You spend time in the hotel. You go shopping. You go to restaurants. You know, I find that deadly boring. You can go traveling as a journalist. You make interviews. It's exciting but quite stressful, and you focus on the journalist. You can go as a businessman. Again, you're focusing often in, meeting rooms and drinking with clients. But if you go traveling for a marathon, it's a very different approach to traveling, both at the marathon in itself, when you run through the streets and you interact with people who are supporting you, with the organization. How is it well or not well organized? Like here in Hong Kong, it's just super well organized. Everything is like perfect. I've been running in other countries where it's really messy. Like they didn't even measure the length of the marathon, the streets correctly. And also like the days before the marathon and after the marathon, I mean, it like gives you another insight into different countries. And I found it fascinating. So I have been running in a few other countries, and I am planning to go running in many different Asian countries, because I'm curious about learning about these Asian countries from doing long distance running.
Well,
running tourism, yeah.
Johan, I heard you went running in North Korea. How did that even happen?
Yeah, we did a half marathon actually in North Korea, in Pyongyang last spring. I brought my son, he's 18. It was pretty cool for him to go to North Korea in that age. I have been to North Korea one time before, and but this was my first time to the capital, to Pyongyang. And we were the first foreigners in the capital in 5 years. So it was like a big thing even for the local people there when we came. And there's been an annually marathon in Pyongyang, the Pyongyang International Marathon. And there's a travel company, Koryo Tours. They're one of the organizers. And it's not too many. It's like a few hundred people running, maybe 500-600 people running. So it's quite small, half international, half local. So the locals are like often elite runners, either teenagers or adults. And the internationals are often Russian and Chinese, and then from the rest of the world. It's quite difficult to go to North Korea at the moment, but normally it's not too difficult. You can't go if you're American or from South Korea or from Japan or from Malaysia. If you're from these 4 countries, you can't go to North Korea. But if you have other passports, it's not too difficult. We signed up. I saw an ad for it on Facebook, and I signed up within 5 minutes. Yeah, it was pretty fascinating.
Quick clarifications. You said you were the first Westerner to go there in a few years, but you also said that half of the people in this marathon are from overseas. So how does that reconcile?
Yeah, we were the first foreigners to the capital in 5 years. So this was also the first time they had the marathon in 5-6 years. It's been,
I see.
Yeah, since COVID. North Korea isolated itself during COVID. And then after that, the political situation has been quite rough with international sanctions. And North Korea naturally has a line closer to Russia and sending troops to Ukraine. So they make a lot of money from Russia and from China at the moment, and from King, I think. So they haven't really opened the borders yet. But I think it's coming. They're going to do the marathon this year again It sold out in 30 minutes, I think, this year. Yeah.
So are you saying there's a small chance that I might open my Facebook tomorrow and I might see an ad for the Pyongyang International Marathon? And
Yeah, but you have to sign up for 2027 because this year's marathon it was fully booked in 30 minutes or 1 hour, I think. Yeah.
I think I've lost my abilities to go there because I have a US passport. So yes, I think they would not let me. Actually, I'm stupefied. We keep hearing about North Korea in the news in the US, and yes, I mean, America has some level of fascination with this country, society that is so different. And I would have imagined that we would have had some people visiting from the West. But the fact that you were the first person in 5 years, I mean, that blows my mind. Somehow we are able to get all this news about North Korea and hear about these interactions. But the fact is that nobody had visited that place. It also sounds like you didn't hesitate. This invitation came up and you signed up. So tell us, what's the first thing you remember noticing when you arrived?
It's like, wow, we are in North Korea. It's just the feeling of, holy shit, we are North Korea. That's like the first, wow, right? And the second thing is that when you start to meet the people there, the guides and people from the Ministry of Sports came to greet us, and like you realize it's just normal people, right? It's they are not from Mars, right? They're not aliens. It's just normal people. If you've been to South Korea, you quickly realize that the culture in North Korea is more or less the same. I mean, it's not less developed. It's not very rich. It's a bit stricter or more respectful, I would say. Like the first thing you see when you sit in the bus from the airport into town is just how big Pyongyang is and how many skyscrapers and tall buildings and high-rise buildings they are. Maybe not skyscrapers, but buildings up to 80 floors, 40 floors, everywhere. It's quite developed city. And I mean, I don't want to paint a rosy picture. It is a brutal dictatorship, but it's more developed than people think. And okay, what you see in Pyongyang might not correlate what's happening on the countryside. So what's happening in Pyongyang, it is more developed, is richer than the rest of the country. But it's in terms of infrastructure, it looks very developed. It looks like a mix of Ulaanbaatar in Mongolia and Kuala Lumpur in Malaysia. There's an old Soviet-style architecture mixed with like modern tall buildings. Most people have mobile phones, like smartphones. They are sitting on the buses, scrolling and texting and, watching Premier League and mobile phone games and so on. They use QR codes to payment in kiosks and so on. You can see Mercedes and BMW and Chinese cars everywhere on the streets. Yes, and solar panels are everywhere and so on. So it's much more developed than the people might think. And people are really kind, very open. They have a good sense of humor. Like we were out almost every night having drinks and singing karaoke, singing Dancing Queen and so on, singing ABBA in the karaoke bars. Yeah, people there, they have the same goals and ambitions that we have. I mean, they wake up early in the morning, they take care of their families and kids, they go to work hard every day, and they come home and maybe go for some soju with their friends, have dinner, maybe go to the movies, go to restaurants. Then, of course, it's very poor. You can see poverty, of course. It's not as developed as South Korea by far. It gets very dark in the evenings. But yeah, I think this is important when you go traveling to realize that people are just people, and we basically have the same ambitions wherever you're from. We all want the best for our families. We want the best for our neighbors, our community, and so on. So I think it's very educational to go to countries like this. And then going back to your questions, it was the marathon that made it possible for us to go there. Yeah, and then when you do the marathon, so the reason we did the half marathon was like we wanted to take it really slow, so we can stop and take photographs and do high fives with people who are supporting us on the streets. And when you run through the streets of Pyongyang, it's amazing. Maybe you've seen it on television. There's like military parades when they the military parading, and you see this. They're displaying these huge missiles, and there's where you're running. There's where you go running. And
also, they combine the running with. It's like a big deal.
No. I'm sorry. It's the same place. It's not at the same time. It's just the same place.
Sure.
I mean, it's the same avenues. It's the same street that's in other footage you've seen these parades, and it's
Yes.
yeah. So you run past this like propaganda statues and propaganda posters of the Kim family, and it's quite bombastic. But also on the side of the streets, you have people clapping hands and all shouting like "Bali, Bali, Bali, Bali," which means hurry up, quicker, quicker, faster. And some kids, maybe 8 or 10 years old, they wanted to run with my son, so they kept on, sprinting next to my son, Bali, Bali, Bali. So you get some nice interaction with people there. Yeah, it makes me quite happy.
Did you have an interpreter, or somehow did they speak English? Like, sounds like you were able to interact quite frequently.
Yeah, I mean, when you are in the country, you need, not during the marathon, not during the race, but otherwise you always have some people with you, people from the Ministry of Sports, because we were not there as tourists officially. We were there as like a sports delegation. So people from Ministry of Sports or people from who are guides, and they are with you all the time. People in North Korea, the kids, the young people, they speak some English. We had some, low-level communication in English. My Korean is not very good, just a few words, but we couldn't maybe not have like a deep conversations, but just some greetings and so on. Then in the evenings, then with the interpreter, you could have like normal conversations with people, but you need to be a little bit careful. Like you can speak about most anything, but don't criticize the leaders. Don't come with your Western ideas about we're going to liberate the minds of the Koreans. But we had like a lot of interesting conversations. I mean, everybody knows about Donald Trump. Everybody has opinions about Trump, and they were making jokes, right? Oh, the whole world are so worried about Trump, but we are not, like, because nothing changes for us. We already have a bad relationship with America, so nothing has changed for us. So you have a lot, interesting conversations about world politics. So it's restricted how much they can know and learn about the outside world, but they're not dumb, and information always, seeps through. And people are quite good educated and so on. In the evenings when we were having drinks and so on, you can have like really quite open conversations with the people from the Ministry of Sport and the guides and so on. And it's quite open and honest conversations.
A lot of the image that you present, it's kind of magnificent about this old historic grand city full of, these shiny new buildings and also relics of the past and this lively, friendly culture. But again, we are talking about North Korea here.
Yeah.
What signs did you see, Johan, about where you were that pointed, made it clear that this again was the most repressive government in the world?
Yeah, it's not difficult to see. I mean, you always have someone with you. There's always someone with you. In the beginning, you don't really think much about it, but after a few days, it gets quite frustrating. If, say, you visit a museum and you have to go to the toilet and someone have to walk with you and wait outside, and it gets freaky after a while. You cannot use.
So hang on, they assigned somebody to each of the visitors.
Not each, but say you are in a group, and one of the guides will go with you, always, and it becomes freaky. Like it becomes disturbing. Also, like people there, they have mobile phones, but there's no internet. They have an internal intranet, right? So we can't access it. So we cannot use our mobile phones, which was really nice. Like. Data-free time, but you cannot check any information, you cannot read any news. I mean, again, for 1 week, that was quite nice and calming. But if you live in a society where you can't access international news or check, say, Wikipedia or check facts or anything, you are reliant on what the state control education system and state control media, state control everything tells you, right? And that naturally limits knowledge, it limits intellectual debates. So that is disturbing. And I mean, there's military everywhere, of course. When you're there, it's very friendly. People are super friendly. Like you eat well and you drink and so on. But it's kind of a bitter aftertaste all the time. That you can't go out by yourself. You can't do this. You can't do that. You can't do that. You feel a bit like cattle. You feel a bit like a flock of sheep being led here and there. And the propaganda is like nonstop. Against America, against the imperialists, against the Japanese, and it's disturbing after a while. And I wouldn't say that normal people like hates America or hates the Japanese, but I can feel this when I'm in China also, like how the propaganda is like hammering down into the minds of people. And I mean, maybe we have propaganda in Sweden and the United States and India also, but it is disturbing. And then, okay, so North Korea, yeah, it's maybe the most oppressive, least free country in the world. But it doesn't mean that it's the most dangerous country in the world. The other countries are like much more dangerous, where you have more violence and the shooting and rival groups and gangs, and it's very safe, maybe the most safe place on the planet.
Now, are you saying it's safe
from
from safe for foreigners, or is it really that safe for locals also?
It's safe for everybody because you can't really do anything. There are no thieves, there are no violence, there's no pickpockets, there's no, like, it's super safe.
But some of the things that we hear, about, again, I don't know how apocryphal these are, but you hear about somebody who was caught watching a South Korean show and was sent to the gulag.
Yeah. So there's some things you can't do. That is, again, going back to the hardcore authoritarian rule. Because as long as you follow the guidelines, everything is super safe. Right? As long as you step out, you're done for. Right? So you stay within the borders, almost like cattle. You stay within the lines, everything is super safe. You take one step out and you're done for. Right?
This brings up this interesting point about contrast between how safe do you want a place to be versus because yes, we complain about the violence that we see around us in the US, in Europe, in Hong Kong, in India, but it's making me reflect also on this marvelous thing we have called freedom of information.
Yeah.
Because at this point, I thought, I can't let it get lost on us that here you are. I am somebody from India who lives in the US, who's back in India for a second here, recording this podcast with somebody who we connected via the internet, who's from one country now living in another and talking about this is, I think those of us who have that freedom, I think we just take it so much for granted that we can just access. And even if we can't get visas to go to some countries, because getting visas is not always easy, but I see this in India. I see people in India where I think data is the cheapest possibly in the world, with access to information and with knowledge about information about places that they will likely never travel to. So in some ways, this lack of freedom of information just seems the most crucifying because one wants to know what is happening. So any signs or hints of how life might be outside this, this glitzy capital of Pyongyang?
Again, let me repeat what I said before. I don't want to paint any rosy pictures of this country. It's more, I often make it difficult for myself. I like to see things from more than one perspective. Too many people, they look at things from only one perspective, right? They support or they're against. And I always try to complicate it and I see the good in the bad and the bad in the good, right? Yeah, when you leave the capital, I've been up in Rason in the northern part of the country, and I've been traveling a bit on the countryside, and you see that like farming is very like old tractors. There's a lot of manual work. Like a lot of people who work for the military in North Korea, they actually work on farms or in construction. A lot of like manual labor. You don't see much richness when you leave the capital. Up in Rason, which is a free trade zone bordering Russia and China, you see how the Russians and Chinese are making a lot of investments into the ports, into the roads. People speak fluent Chinese up there. Most people speak fluent Chinese up in those parts of North Korea. This is quite like about 10 years ago I went there, but Chinese pickup trucks like queuing every day to cross the border into North Korea to buy seafood and to buy things from the local factories and so on. So there's a lot of cross-border trade, naturally breaking UN sanctions, but maybe they don't really care much about that. And I think what you read in the news about the oppression in North Korea, a lot of it is true. Like a lot of it is exaggerated because it is difficult to verify what's actually happening. And we all love to use Kim Jong-un as almost like a James Bond bad guy, because he fits the profile, right? He looks like a James Bond bad guy. And sometimes media reporting is tremendously exaggerated, that about food security and what else. But I mean, again, I think it's a fascinating place to go. I think you can learn a lot about the society there. You can learn a lot about yourself, the good things and the bad. That's why I find it important to go traveling to those kind of places. And you learn so much about yourself and your own society. I mean, I was speaking to one of the guys from the Ministry of Sports, and he asked about Hong Kong and how we live here. And I said, the apartments are very small. It's very expensive. They're very small. And I said, and you know, some people, they can't even afford a home. They live on the streets. And he said, what do you mean? What do you mean? They are homeless. And he never heard of the concept being homeless, because everybody in North Korea, they get an apartment, right? The government says you can live here. He never heard of the concept of not having a home. So he was
sorry, hang on. So even people in the countryside, and recognizing that you didn't get a chance to go to all those places, but was that person saying that even people everywhere, the government guarantees them a home?
Yeah, everybody get a home.
Okay.
For free.
Sure.
Yeah. That's the ultimate socialist dream, right? It's like also becomes something of like a Potemkin village, right? You get assigned a place to live. You don't have much choice. You can apply for a part of town. If you do good a job, you can get a better part of town. There's some corruption, of course. A lot of corruption, of course. So it's just a different way of running the country, and it's quite extreme.
Absolutely. It has obviously been, eye-opening in some ways, even to a veteran traveler and a journalist like you. And I'm curious, the day of the race itself, and there is this bonding that you felt when you were interacting with the locals, with the person who was taking you around, etc. And I'm curious, do you think that you were able to interact with the runners in a way that made maybe that connection even more special?
It was difficult to interact with the North Korean runners. First of all, most of them were elite runners or in, say, a sport athlete school. So they were just super focusing on running. So the international group, the Chinese, the Korean, we were, chatting, having good time and so on. But the North Koreans, they were like so focused. We tried to wave and try to say something, but I don't know, maybe they were told not to interact with us, or they were just so focused on the race. So we didn't have much interaction with them, unfortunately.
And what is the incentive that they have to invite you all to take part in this run? Is it some kind of a way to, I don't know, promote interaction, or maybe actually to showcase this modernity that North Korea has to offer, which they think they can't display otherwise because their borders are closed?
Well, it's a good question. I think it's not so important for North Korea to show how modern it is, because I mean they already know that the Western world hates North Korea, so they don't really care. They don't really care. Maybe it's more important for them to show to Russia and China that we have good diplomatic relationships. That's probably much more important. And the marathon, it brings in money, brings in revenue, and I think for the local athletes, it's a way to compete with international runners. Right? There were some like international elite runners from Africa. So it's like an opportunity to get the North Korean runners to compete with international runners, to put them in like a real competition. And I mean, they've been, how many years? 20 years, I think they had this marathon. And, sometimes was it 25 years maybe? Sometimes the diplomatic relationships are better. Sometimes they are worse. They co-hosted the Olympics with South Korea some years ago. So sometimes North Korea is a bit more open, or the outside world is more open to them. Then the marathon is a way to try to collaborate with the outside world. But I don't think they need to, try to impress the West. I really don't think they care much about that. But
you have run in North Korea, but you've also run in a lot of other countries. So, when you strip away the language, politics, the culture, what stays the same when people run?
Oh, we are all together, right? We all do this together. When you stand at the starting line, like for everybody who's done a marathon, like the most beautiful part of the marathon is not crossing the finishing line, it's crossing the starting line. Everybody stands there early in the morning Like everybody's just ready to go. And there's music, people clapping hands, and you're so like eager, just go, 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 go. Everybody stands together. It's this almost like a mass psychosis, right? And it's a beautiful feeling, and that everybody shares. And I think the second thing everybody shares is when it starts to get hard. When you pass 30 kilometer, 35 kilometer, when the pain starts to set in, when you start to doubt yourself, that also brings people together. And I never forget when I ran in Mongolia, in Ulaanbaatar. It was a very interesting race because half is in the city, the other half is outside of the city. And in the city, you have a lot of people, like a lot of like water fountain, water stations, people clapping hands, kids running with you. You get all the encouragement and the motivation. Outside of the city, you are out at the steplands. Like right outside Ulaanbaatar, the steplands begins, and it's beautiful. It's absolutely beautiful. And you have wild horses, you have wild animals that's roaming free, and you run like just a few meters away from like a flock of horses that are, munching grass or, having a good time. The problem is there's no one there to support you. You're by yourself out of the countryside. And mentally, it's very different to run in the city when people are clapping hands or when you're all by yourself. I was some 35 kilometers in and I was really tired. Like I had so much pain in my legs, in my chest, in my mind, in my heart. I was, like the two voices, one going, take it easy, and the other one goes like, come on. And it's really hard. I like that moment. You feel very much alive, but it's very challenging. And what happened was that this Mongolian guy, he came up next to me. He ran up next to me and he looked at me and I looked at him and he didn't say anything. He just nodded. Like I nodded back at him and then we ran together for like 5 kilometers. Yeah. So that was connection. Wow. Yeah. Connection over culture and language barriers. And he was in pain and, doubting if he could make it. And I was in pain, doubting myself. Then he just came up to me, right, and we just ran together, and it was like, I'm almost getting goosebumps now when I talk about it.
Wow!
So that is, no matter where you run, I think that's a thing that like connects people. So that was a strong experience for me. Yeah, I never forget that guy.
Yeah, and I'm getting goosebumps as you're describing it. Connected not by language or culture, but connected by pain, by suffering.
Yeah.
By the finish line up ahead, and also connected by joy. This joy that you guys feel.
It's something strange that happens when it starts to get really, really difficult. You have like more pain than you ever had in your mind, but you put it on yourself. You have the power to stop it. You can just stop it if you want, but that voice goes like, come on, you can do this. And like almost like the more painful it gets, the more determined you get. And like the pain becomes almost like pure. The pain becomes your best friend. It's a very strange thing. It's very difficult to explain. But when I'm thinking of the marathon I have now in 2 weeks, I'm looking forward to standing at the starting line, and I'm looking forward to being in that pain cave when I know I have no one can help me. No one can help me. I'm here by myself. Maybe the Mongolian guy will come and help me, but that mindset is very, very powerful. It's very, very strong to find yourself there. It's a strange kind of beauty.
That is so deep. And zooming out a little bit, Johan, do you think you have surprised even yourself where running has taken you since you started?
Yeah, I can do so much more than I thought I could. Yeah, absolutely. I'm so much stronger physically and mentally than I could ever imagine. Like again, when I did the military, you had to push much, much harder than you thought you could, and complaining takes you nowhere. It doesn't help you. Keep on pushing, keep on going forward, look after the people around you. But that's when I was 19, right? And now this running, the long distance running, really taught me that how my capacities are so much greater than I ever thought. I can become stronger mentally and physically. And when you think things are really, really hard, you haven't even came 50%, right? You can keep on going so much longer. It helps me running. It helps me when I'm up in the mountains, when I'm climbing. I don't do rock climbing like you, but I like to spend a few days, just me in a tent, go up in the mountains in Japan. I don't mind if it's hard anymore. Like, I don't mind if it's raining, if it's pouring down, if I'm tired. I don't mind. Just keep on going. There's nothing can stop me anymore. Few things can stop me anymore. And that is new to me. Yeah. Maybe it was there before, but now it became quite clear. So that is, it's a bit difficult to explain to friends, like over a coffee or when you have a drink. And I think a lot of my friends, they don't understand me anymore. They don't get it. Exactly these things that we talk about today. Maybe you, Kush, is actually the first person I have this kind of conversation with. It's actually a bit emotional for me to talk about these things. Yeah, to be able to, I can stand up now and run 50 kilometers. It's not bad. Maybe I could do 100. Like a year from now, I would try to do a 100 ultra run. Like, maybe I fail, but I can cross the starting line at least. But it changed my mindset a lot. Yeah.
Incredible. No, Johan, for sure. And, the narrative is, yes, you do these things in your teens. Like you said, you were 19 in the military, and now you are at a different age and a different stage of your life. And many people believe that, or are convinced that, once you kind of cross this imaginary sign, age, whatnot, they cannot start do things the kind that seems particularly daunting, as going out and running big races. So what would you say to someone listening, someone who's thinking about aging, capability, or staying curious? What do you want them to take away from your experience?
Yeah, I think it's not very important to do exercise when you're in your 20s, because you are strong and you're getting stronger, but it's really, really important to do exercise when you get a bit older, because your body gets weaker. Like, every day my body gets a bit weaker, and you need to push back against that. I heard someone saying that you don't stop walking because you got old, like you got old because you stopped walking. And I think it's that simple. And also we always heard, right, this thing like no gain with no pain, no gain, right? This thing, like, I always learned when I was growing up that if you do exercise, you have to go really hard. You go to the gym and you push it until you vomit, or you run till you bleed, right? No, right? Take it easy. Like, people who are new to exercise, like new to running, I tell them, just put your shoes on and go for a 500-meter run or walk, but try to do it every day, 5 days a week. Don't put much pressure on you. Like, you don't need to lift heavy weights or go for 10K runs. Go take 500 meters, but do it 5 days a week. Create a good habit. Then it becomes part of your daily routines, and your body starts to adjust to it and acclimatize to it, and then the body starts to enjoy it. And then after some time, the body starts craving it. I want to go. I want to go out. I need to go out to get my little run. And maybe the first week you do 500 meters. The next week you do 1 kilometer. And then if you can do 1 kilometer 5 days a week, it's really good, right? You feel stronger. You feel more happy. Like, we don't need to put too much pressure on ourselves, but you need to create this new habits. I think that is the key to everything.
Johan, in some ways, your journey seems almost like this, hero journey. You were going through
I will not call it hero journey. Please, take that back. Yeah. It's the anti-hero journey.
No, let me complete. So exactly. So, you were going through a health crisis. You had crossed the age of 50, and I'm sure there were a lot of things going on mentally, physically, and then you started running, and it's been transformative. What was the hardest thing that you had to personally overcome in order to make this your habit, your love, your discipline?
My love and my discipline. I had no choice. Like, it's almost like the choices were made for me. I think I was in a physically, like, such a low place. Like, I could hardly walk. I was mentally feeling absolutely terrible. I tried to speak with people about it. I tried to talk to my friends about it, but no one really wanted to listen. And maybe I didn't want to talk about it. I didn't feel comfortable talking about it. I knew I was sliding. I was going into dark places. I didn't have a choice, right? I just had to start, right? I remember going to the gym I had no weights. I went on the machines like with no weights. I was doing this exercise with no weights, but I still knew that I was working harder than anyone at the gym. I couldn't even run. I started taking walks. The most difficult to overcome, I'm always struggling with bad lifestyle choices. I can go deep into running, deep into climbing mountains. I can also go deep into doubting myself. I can go deep into taking the easy way out, right? Sit in the bar, go to the bar instead of the gym, right? Because life is hard, life can be stressful, right? So just trying to make the decision we all try to feel better, right? And you can feel better without any effort, sugar, scrolling, drinking, or you can feel better with effort, running, go to gym, and so on. And the thing that you notice when you start to make good lifestyle choices, when you start to be a bit stronger for yourself, is that you also can be stronger for the people around you. And maybe I don't care much about myself anymore, but I really care about the people around me. So when you get stronger here, when you find your own peace, when you find your happiness, when you find strength, when you start to take responsibility of yourself, then you can start to be responsible for people around you. And then when people start to come to you to ask for help, ask for advice, maybe that's the greatest gift you can get. When people see you as, shit, something happened, I need to reach out to someone. If they come to you, maybe that's the greatest gift you can get. So this is a journey, right? And it's easy to sit and say, yeah, just buy a pair of running shoes and go out running, or don't go to the pub, it's so easy to, I think there's so many influencers out there just don't understand how difficult it is to make that change, especially later in life. Because you spend your whole career or whole life working hard, going to the pub, going to the sofa, having crisps, and your body's used to it, your mind is used to it, your friends are used to it, all your friends do the same. And try to break out of those habits and create some new habits. It's very hard. It's not easy. But when you take these small steps, right? It doesn't have to be big steps, like small steps in the right decision, the right direction.
The first step is the hardest, but then can also be the easiest if you really break things down. Did you find that you had to also change the environment around you, starting with maybe the foods in your house, starting with where you kept your running shoes versus maybe that bottle of alcohol or something else, starting with, maybe you moved residences to be closer. Like, can you talk about how maybe even reorienting your environment can be so effective?
There are a lot of things you can do to motivate yourself. People say you need discipline, and it's hard to be you can. The night before, you say, tomorrow I'm going to go running. So even the night before, you tell yourself that tomorrow I'm going to go running. You put your shoes out, you put your running gear out. When you wake the next day, decision's already made. That simplifies a lot, right? I think that is one of the classics for people who are new to running. Just place your shoes, and when you wake up, the shoes are looking at you. The shoes tells you, like, come on, bro, you told me we were going to go running today. I saw an interview with David Goggins. You maybe know him, this like super influencers. He said sometimes when he's tired, he's like he sits there like having like a stare down with the running shoes for 30 minutes. Just sits there and like stares at the running shoes for 30 minutes. Who's gonna win? And he said the running shoes always wins, and then they go running. But I like that one. I also try not to eat too much before I go to bed, so the body doesn't have to process too much food during sleep. If you have been eating too much in the evening, maybe too much meat or sweet, you wake up the next day and you feel really heavy. You feel like super heavy in the body. So try not to have too much snacks in the evening. Have your last meal around 6 or 7, and a few hours before sleeping, just no eating. That helps a lot. Or if you desperately need some snacks in the evening, just have some vegetables, right? Something not heavy, right? So those things really help. Surround yourself with people who motivate you, right? There's so many people who can say like, oh, be careful, don't do it, don't overdo it, right? That hold you down. But try to find people who can motivate you, to help to motivate you. And also, sometimes you don't need to actively go looking for them. Just by going running, they will come to you. They will see you. It's like, yeah, well done, come on. you probably heard this thing, like it's important to surround yourself with people who can help you. If you have 4 people around you who go running in the morning, you might be the 5th, right? You have 4 people who run their own companies, like you might be the 5th, right? Or you have 4 people around you who sit and complain about how difficult and unfair everything is. Like, yeah, you will be the 5th to sit and complain about everything. And I made a lot of new friends, and like who we talk about this thing, and we inspire each other, and I'm very happy for that. Like some people, when I was new to running, I was coming up to my first marathon, and these people just take me running on these like crazy long runs and just pull me out of my comfort zone, take me on runs like longer than I've ever done before. Those people, like very, very grateful, really push me to do things I didn't even know I could do myself. They thought I could do it. I thought I couldn't do it. So they took me doing it. It was very difficult and like a lot of pain the next day, but you should be bloody grateful if you have people like that around you.
Community is so powerful, and just taking that first step and finding those kind of people. And I find that people personally are so supportive because most people have experienced some of that journey themselves. And if they see that you're making that difficult step to enter a new world, a new activity, a new life, people are usually willing to lend a hand and make your efforts count. Now you are in your early 50s. What are you doing today that you think you will be able to leverage to help you age with grace, with power, to really make your next couple of decades count?
Yeah, this is such an important question. I've been thinking a lot about this. I've been writing quite much about it. I've been interviewing people about it. That there's almost an obsession of like living many years, like longevity, right? But few people talk about living healthy years, right? Because if we all get older, but your last 10 years are miserable, like what's the point? So it's really, we live longer, and our pension system doesn't really like live up to that anymore. So we need to think of our finances when we are older. We need to think of our health, our mental health and physical health. And this is really important to plan your older years. So maybe I need to put more emphasis on my finances. But when it comes to health, I'm really on a good journey. Like I'm very, very much on a good journey. Mental stability, I'm on a good journey. I think this is super important. Like everybody needs to talk about it. When you get older and you can't open jars anymore because you're getting so weak and you have so much pain, that is terrible. And you're so old that you can't go for walks anymore. It's terrible. I mean, what's the point, right? To grow old, but you can't enjoy life, right? I think I try to speak with my friends about this, and some of them just won't even listen. I think it is really important to talk about these things. And it's a new thing. Like we've never been this old, humanity, right? So this is new. It's uncharted territory for our race. So it's super important that everybody. I know that the World Economic Forum have a special branch only talking about longevity and health in later stages in life, and we need to look after our own health. Like the society can do a lot for you, but when it comes to health, you're the only one who can do it. When it comes to exercise, when it comes to what you eat, like you can blame nothing around you. You're the only one who is responsible, and this is super important. That's also why I enjoy your podcast so much, right? I've been listening to a lot of episodes in your podcast, and it's among the most important podcasts I've came across. I mean, I'm not joking. It's among the most important podcasts I've seen in a long time. And one thing I really enjoyed with your podcast, it was one episode when you were interviewed. You were interviewed, and the guy asked you, like, why did you start a podcast? And you said, I didn't start it because I have all the answers. I started because I don't have all the answers. And I think it's a very good approach. It's a clever approach. It's a humble approach. And I think we all need to have that approach to health when you get a bit older. So yeah, I mean, now I'm the one saying thank you to you for for having this podcast, and I really recommend it to people. Like, I really mean it.
Very kind, Johan. Final question. When you hear the phrase ageless, what does that mean to you personally?
Death always walks next to us. It will come a day when the trees will drop from the leaves will drop from the tree, inevitably. Nothing wrong with that. But up to that day, we do our best to have a healthy life, a healthy relationship with our friends and our family. If you don't look after yourself, it's very difficult to look after the people around you. That's what I feel when I hear that word in this context.
I love it. I was just talking to my mom the other day. My mom is 73 now, and she, knock on wood, a lot of energy, a lot of love to give, to share, to do things for other people. So she is so selfless. The only way I can get through to her when I ask her to start an exercise and a strength training habit is that you, mom, will not be able to use your faculties in the same way to help others, your kids, your grandkids, your friends, unless you are also still physically capable. So if not for your sake, for the sake of everybody else, you need to look after yourself.
Yeah, it's a very good approach. It's very clever, because I think when you get older, maybe you get less selfish. You don't care so much about yourself anymore. But when someone tells you, like, if you don't look after yourself, you cannot look after me or your grandchildren. That is quite powerful.
I mean, no, it's basically what you're saying and what I'm learning from all of you. You had any final words before we end?
No, I just want to say again, thank you for having this podcast. Again, it's for me, it's a gold mine. I really recommend other people to listen to it. And I'm also telling my friends to listen to your podcast. So that's it. And I mean, we inspire each other to become better, to become stronger. But at the end of the day, you're the one who has to tie your running shoes and take the first step.
That's it, folks. Thanks for tuning in to this episode of the Ageless Athlete Podcast. I hope you enjoyed this show just as much as I enjoyed creating and producing it. Whether you are an athlete looking to push your limits or someone striving to maintain a healthy, active lifestyle as you age, there is always something new to learn. From Ageless Athlete, we bring you a fresh episode each and every week. If you liked what you heard, we would love it if you would take a moment to subscribe to the podcast so you never miss an update. And if you really liked what you heard, please leave us a review, crush those 5 stars on Spotify or Apple Podcasts or wherever else you listen to your podcasts. It helps us reach more people who are passionate about staying strong and resilient, no matter their age. Don't forget to visit our website and leave your email so I can send you occasional insights, stories, and tips to keep you inspired and motivated on your journey. You can also follow us on Instagram at Ageless Athlete Podcast and on YouTube at Ageless Athlete Podcast as well for even more great content. All of these links are available on the show notes for this episode. This show is entirely produced by me, Kush Khandelwal, based out of California with the help of my trusted adventure pup, Roger. Until next time, keep challenging yourself. Keep pushing those limits. Stay mentally and physically fit. Continue doing what you love to do. And my friends, stay ageless. Friends, this is not an ad. This is just a quick message to those amongst us who are listening to Ageless Athlete podcast for the first time. I would love it if you would hit subscribe and follow on your favorite podcast app, whether it's Apple Podcast or Spotify or Stitcher or Overcast or what have you. We bring you stories and routines and other inspiration from elites in the world of the best outdoor sports. In each episode, you will find how these athletes stay connected to the outdoors, maintain peak performance, and continue to thrive as they age. I encourage you to look through prior episodes and listen to a couple and see if they resonate. And then, come back next week. We release an episode each week. And I am really inspired to bring you some of the best stories from the world of the outdoors. Okay, back to the show.